This video is showing how to map out a hand using anchors, negative space, levels, and angles. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to think about the hand as if you were to put a sock over it or like a baseball mitt. So I'm going to use a Sharpie, but you're going to trace. You can use a pencil if you would like. I'm just using a Sharpie so you can see it better. So you're going to trace the outside as if you were putting a sock over it. So you're not going to get like these spaces in between. You're just going around the outside. Okay, this is going to be called the outline. The next step is you're going to need your ruler. And you're going to be measuring the width between here and finding the halfway point. Not the sides of the paper or the sides of the picture, but the sides of the outline. So to make that easier for myself, I'm going to draw a dotted line that goes down. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's close. The side and then up, so that I know where on the right side of the paper and the left side it's the furthest, because then I can line up my ruler and I know that this is, let's just say that for easy math it's 7 1/4. So, or I can use centimeters, which is even easier. So let's say this is 19. Half of 19 is going to be 9 1/2. So I'm going to put a mark halfway between here and here. Then I know that this distance should be the same as that distance. Okay, now if I do the same thing, I'm going to use this as my measurement, but I'm going to measure from the top to the bottom of the outline. I'm going to use centimeters because they're easier. I want it to be pretty even and straight. Okay, so if this is, let's say 26, half of 26 is 13. So I know right there at 13 that that is the center, because this distance is the same as this distance is the same as this distance. So now I'm going to mark, oops, there we go. I want it to be straight if possible. I'm going to mark, and now I know where the center of this outline is. It's not the center of the paper, but it's the center of the outline. Because then on my paper, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to find the halfway point. I know that halfway, this is 6 inches across, half of that is 3. This is 9 inches down, half of that is 4 1/2. So I know that is the middle. Okay, now I'm going to draw a straight line down and a straight line across as best I can. Okay, so now I have this center point and this center point. Now I'm going to draw my outline onto my paper. I'm going to use this as my reference point. So I'm going to be paying attention to this grid and where my outline lines up. I know that this point is the very top, so I know my finger goes all the way to the top. This line kind of curves over, and then it comes at a sharper angle down. I know right here is this point, so I'm connecting. This isn't going to be perfect, this just gives us a basic idea. And then rounding down, I know if I'm coming to this point, it's going to be about this far down and about this far over, so I know I can connect that. This swoops out this way. Okay, same thing over here. This is the edge of my outline, which means it's the edge of my paper. So the fingers come over like this, somewhere right around in here. This, I'm looking at this point now, is about here probably. So this comes up and over and down. It's not perfect, but at least gives us a starting point. Okay, so now I'm going to start identifying some anchor points. For this, you're going to want 3 different colors of colored pencils, because I'm going to mark my anchor points. So with one color, I'm going to mark these points that I'm going to go back to, and they're going to be like really easily recognizable points, like the tips of fingers. I'm also going to do, this is like the webbing in between my fingers, so I'm going to do a point there, there, there. I'm going to do here where the wrist connects to the hand. I'll probably do the same thing on the other side. I could do right here where it connects to the outline. This is a nice point too. I might call that good for now. I might add some more, but we'll see. I can also do, actually, where it intersects with the cross lines. These crosses across. Okay, so now I have my anchor points. I'm going to color in every space that is negative space. So that means anything that is in between or like around the actual image. So I'm not coloring the fingers, I'm coloring the negative space or the area in between the fingers. I don't need to worry about going up here because that's not in my outline, and so I don't really care about it. Okay, here we go, almost there. Okay, for the sake of keeping this fast, I'm going to go quickly. And over here, right, I'm going to color in this whole area. Okay, and down here, these areas. All right, pretend like I colored in this whole area super carefully. Okay, now that's my negative space. The last thing I have to map out is I'm going to connect my anchor points, basically like a connect the dots. So if you ever did like connect the dots when you were little and you made a picture of like an alligator or something like that, where you connected numbers, well, we're basically doing the same thing, but this is with your third color, and you're going to connect all of these points, because then we'll be able to take these points and we'll be able to put them on our paper. Okay, so I'm connecting a whole bunch of points. I've got one that I already did over here. So you can see I connected from the tip of the finger all the way down to here. Here I connected across, and I'm basically making a bunch of triangles, and that way I'm going to be able to put these on my paper. Okay, so my next step is going to be to start mapping out where these different pieces go. So that will be in our next video.